I'm Daniel Levine, and this is the Bio Report. Universities are moving away from a passive approach to technology transfer to engage with industry in new partnerships, put a greater emphasis on translational research, and nurturing technology so it can give rise to new products and companies. We spoke to Eric Tomlinson, Chief Innovation Officer of Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, about these changes, the approach Wake Forest is taking, and how it's forging new relationships with industry and the regional economy. Eric, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
We're seeing a reimagining of the traditional technology transfer office. These offices in the past have taken relatively passive approaches to licensing university technology, but now there's active engagement with industry along the way, nurturing of technology through translational work and incubating startups. Where do you see Wake Forest innovations in this world? How do you view your role? What's your mandate?
Well, you're exactly right. That model is gone, always going, and we've blown up the tech transfer process that was existing here, and have now adopted an open innovation model to engage with industry. And along the lines of your description, we are translating technologies in several different sectors to a point where they can be commercialized. At the same time, we are working with industry to understand their needs and their aspirations, and to see whether we have not just technology that is appropriate for them, but also whether they can benefit from the scholarship base that we have at Wake Forest, as well as also the specialized preclinical and clinical research assets that we have that may provide them with new pathways to the marketplace. So open innovation and that engagement model with industry is now rooted in the Wake Forest culture.
Well, what do you mean by open innovation?
Well, it's a process whereby organizations seek not just internal, but also external technologies and pathways to the marketplace. And that process requires engagement with industry, understanding their needs, and putting their needs to our faculty and investigators to see whether we can be responsive and helpful.
And at the heart of this is this urge to commercialize technology more rapidly. What tools do you have to accomplish that?
Well, several tools, but the prime accelerant is money, of course. And to take an idea to a point whereby it is of value to commercialize to a commercializing organization requires attention to the development process. We have adopted a number of industry-based criteria for developing our technologies, passing technology through a number of stage gates. Each stage gate is linked to a milestone that technology must achieve. And of course, as we go from stage gate to stage gate towards market, it's an ever increasing financial decision as well as oversight decision. So we've built a translational and a development business development group that has the skill base to work with industry. We're actually working in several areas: drugs/vaccines, regenerative medicine, medical devices, diagnostics, and digital health, biohealth, IT.
And is that based on the expertise within the medical school, or is that a result of where you saw the best opportunities?
It's a mixture of both. It's really titrating the world, and titrating the world sounds too grand. It's really understanding what industry is wanting and what our asset base is. We have a very acute focus at Wake Forest in certain research areas, and we're trying to key off those areas.
You talk about creating an ecosystem of innovation. How do you do that?
Well, an ecosystem is a phrase that can mean all things to all men, but in our world, it's a knowledge-based community that has not just the basic scholarship base and the domain experts, but also has folks engaged in discovery and inventing, and in developing, and in financing, and in protecting intellectual property, and in managing that, and so it goes on and on. So it's a whole group of folks from different disciplines who can contribute to first of all, the innovative process, the development process, the translation process, the commercialization process, and around that to manage it and to finance it.
And traditionally, I think tech transfer offices might have measured their success by licensing revenue or patents and licenses. What metrics do you use to measure your success, and can you share some of those numbers with us?
Well, this is a two-pronged metric, actually. One is to bring products and services to the clinical marketplace. That's our mission, actually, as an academic medical center. And to do so in a way that provides the medical center and its faculty and investigators with a fair financial return on that. So it's a dual-pronged metric. It's a virtuous cycle that is not measured by numbers of patents and numbers of inventions and numbers of licenses, but really about the products, services, and income from those. Over the last several years, Wake Forest has been fortunate to have been very successful in licensing and bringing income into the medical center. But we are now at a phase whereby we're really building a superior pipeline of technology for the future. So it'll be several years before that pipeline can be monetized. But we're confident that that's the path we're on.
Earlier you mentioned the gates, but walk me through your process. How do you go about identifying technology with commercial potential? How far do you take it in terms of development, and do you get involved in company creation?
Well, we apply industry standard criteria to ideas and technology. Some of the key metrics that we look for, the key criteria that we assess are: how long will it take to bring this technology to the marketplace? Is there a reasonable time at a reasonable cost that this can come to market? That's number one. Number two is what is our proprietary and competitive position? And three, do we have the skill set, or do we have partners who can help us develop and commercialize that technology? We as an institute will license or commercialize technology from its very early stage all the way through to early clinical studies. So we are engaged in development across the whole range of preclinical research, preclinical development, and early clinical development with our development partners. We're also engaged with startups. We've created over 30 startups in the last few years, and we will continue to look at that as one of the ways in which to promote the technology. But it really is now a different world. The open innovation engagement model is a totally different world of as the word suggests, direct interaction with folks that are thinking strategically about their businesses or need to find different technologies or pathways to go to the market.
Well, industry engagement is certainly central in what you're doing. What are the different ways in which you're working with industry?
Oh, it's probably three ways, ranging from digital marketing to create that awareness of what the scholarship base, the technology base, and the capabilities base or bases are of Wake Forest. Very sophisticated tools used there, including social media, which is very valuable. Secondly, we have a large presence, physical presence, at all the right meetings and conferences, and that enables us to find the business development heads, to find the R&D heads, and to knock on the doors of the C-suites of pharmaceutical, biotech, and med device companies. But we also are extremely fortunate that Wake Forest has a network of alumni and former faculty and current faculty actually who know what industry is engaged in. So we use those networks, and my office is every day. There's another company comes through, or we're out at another company. So it's a very big engagement actually.
Well, there's been a big cultural shift on campuses as far as academicians' willingness to get involved in translational and commercial work, but it's still a work in progress on many campuses. Have you seen any mind shift at Wake Forest in that regard? Are you now attracting different types of researchers who have an entrepreneurial bent?
The two things are required, though. You need to incentivize faculty investigators to work with industry. That needs to be understood, and that is both a education process, but it's also one that requires a change in our policies, and so we're undertaking that. Secondly, most faculty, if they have not worked with industry, don't have a clue about what it means. So we are educating our faculty with in various forums, whereby those who have worked with faculty or are working with industry or are working with industry describe what that looks and feels like, and we bring industry in to mingle. So it's tech transfer used to be let me get that license done under the institutional terms, and now it's more like a marriage. You start dating, you start finding out whether there's interest. You get to meet the family. Pretty much before you do the license agreement that you're going to actually marry that person. So it's all about relationships and building those relationships. And we involve faculty and scientific investigators in building those relationships. And it's a new world for an academic medical center, one which is bearing a lot of fruit.
Well, to what extent is this change being driven by the difficulties biomedical researchers face today accessing federal funding?
I don't know about that, actually. We clearly, as an academic medical center, have a mission that is all about patient care. And so research has generally been a distant partner of the clinical side of an academic medical center. And with very defined service lines, clinical service lines, and a very focused research program at Wake Forest, it's a natural consequence that research leads to products and services that can be used for those service lines. And so it's a nice alignment. I don't think we see it very much as, clearly, going back to a virtuous cycle, we look for sustained streams of revenue that can support our mission. And so it all plays nicely into one another.
You wear multiple hats. You're also president of the Wake Forest Innovation Quarter. Can you explain to our listeners what the Innovation Quarter is and how it came about?
How many weeks do you have? Okay, so what it is an urban-based district for innovation in research, in business, and in education. And the sectors that we have here are in biomedical science, in information technology, clinical services, and advanced materials. It's likely as we develop that we will grow rapidly in the area of e-health and digital health. We're the fastest growing innovation district that there is actually in the U.S. We've grown from just a few hundred people 3 years ago to we'll be over 4,000 people this time next year. We have about 55 companies, 22 academic departments, various institutes represented here. And our whole mantra, unlike a traditional research park, our whole mantra is that this is a place where people work and they live. We have about 600 apartments in and around the Innovation Quarter, several more under development. It's a place where people learn, lots of activation of space with, for example, curated TED lectures, etc. Formal education programs. Our MD program is moving down into the Innovation Quarter. We have our PA program. We have a nurse anesthetist program. It's also a place where people can relax and play. So we have publicly accessible parks, which we built with stages and amphitheaters. We have greenways. Restaurants are moving in. So it's a small town actually that's emerging. So in the next period of time, our focus is on actually doubling the size. We've got something like 2.5 million square feet now built out, very inspirational space. It's attracting a lot of attention within the state, within the city. And we are working on attracting into the Innovation Quarter companies and institutes from outside.
The Winston-Salem area in North Carolina, where you're based, was an area where the economy was driven by the tobacco industry, by textiles. How is the economy changing in the region, and what do you see as both the university's role and the opportunity for it?
Well, there's no doubt that in the last 30 years, the town was devastated by the loss of about 6 industries, including the haulage industry, actually, and banking and tobacco and textiles, and set about rebirthing itself, actually. And so a partnership between Wake Forest and the city and the county and the state has come about with the focus on innovation and on the arts. And there is clearly a change afoot in Winston-Salem. I've been here 3 years, and it's gone from being a town that was pretty much dead at night to one which is vibrant. I mean, like a lot of towns, actually, but vibrant. And not just millennials, but bless them, but old codgers like me coming in. And so we have now this partnership underway. We've attracted several hundreds of millions of dollars of inward investment. Our main development partner, Wexford Science and Technology, will by the end of next year have invested over $400 million only in the Innovation Quarter. We have other developers coming in. A lot of this has been, frankly, fueled by the availability of historic tax credits, incentives, whereby old mills and old factories, which are on the historic register, can be repurposed to become inspirational spaces, and the investors will get are incentivized through a tax break to make that investment. So the Wake Forest University, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, slightly different organizations actually, but related, really are helping to revitalize not just downtown Winston-Salem, but Winston-Salem in partnership with the city, the county, and the state.
If you're attending the 2015 Bio-International Convention in Philadelphia, June 15th to 18th, and would like to hear more from Eric, he'll be on the panel Inventing Your Own Hub, Evolving Institutional Models for Translational Medicine at 3:30 June 16th. Eric Tomlinson, President of Wake Forest Innovation Quarter and Chief Innovation Officer of Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center. Eric, thanks so much for your time today.
Dave, my pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening. The Bio Report is a production of the Levine Media Group. To automatically download this podcast each week, subscribe to our RSS feed or through iTunes or other podcast manager. To join our mailing list, go to levinemediagroup.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to drop us a line or are interested in sponsoring this podcast, send email to danny@levinemediagroup.com. Special thanks to Jonah Levine, who composed our theme music, and the Jonah Levine Collective, which performs it.